Welcome back. We are glad that you have decided to stay with us. As promised, we want to dig into this Chick-fil-A controversy. Now, you might know what you heard about it, but you'll never hear what I'm about to share because no one else will take you to the concept that drives the practice the way we do here. Think of it in terms like this. Everyone wants to eat chocolate, but no one wants to make it. No one knows how to make it. We don't even know which beans to use, and yet we all want chocolate. So do you know which side you fall in this equation? The answer is going to surprise you, and we'll get to that and much, much more right after this. You are listening to Klaipier on radio. All right, we're back. Now, as mentioned, we're going to talk about Chick-fil-A. Now, you've all heard it. You're all aware of what's going on, but I want to dig deeper. Now, in case you're new to it, let me share a couple of concepts. Number one, we want to talk about the issue of intolerance. Intolerance is an unwillingness or a refusal to respect anyone's opinion who is different than my own. So, that having been understood, you need to get to the source of the controversy. Now, Dan Cathy is the president and CEO of Chick-fil-A. His father, a very religious man, started the company back in 1967, and recently, last week, Dan Cathy was on a radio show, and he said this.
I think we're inviting God's judgment on our nation when we shake our fist at him and say, we know better than you as to what constitutes a marriage. And I pray God's mercy on our generation that has such a prideful, arrogant attitude to think that we would, the audacity to try to redefine what marriage is all about.
Now, without getting into the right or wrong or making any kind of judgment about what he had to say, what I want to discover and what I want to talk about is what's happening around the controversy. The radio host who had Mr. Cathy on his show, Ken Coleman, was being interviewed on CNN, and he had this to say about the man's right to make that kind of a comment. Listen.
I'm not here to defend Dan. I'll tell you this, though. I will defend his right and anyone who disagrees with him to have an opinion. And I think we're at a place in our society where we have to step back and go, hey, it's 2012, Brooke, and I don't think it's about what Dan says.
Now we've set the stage. We've heard the comment. As you know, there has been a lot of fallout about this comment and that the man shouldn't make the comment. Not what he said, but that he shouldn't make the comment. Now listen again to what Mr. Coleman had to say regarding the comment.
And I don't think it's about what Dan believes.
You don't think this is about what he said?
Hold on.
Now listen to the response of the reporter following that comment.
You don't think this is about what he said?
Hold on.
Listen to how quickly she attacked what he said, and there's a vehemence, there's an anger, there's a let's get after him because he made this comment. And what always strikes me interesting is not the fact that we're hearing people make comments that we disagree with. That always happens. People have choice. That is the foundation of liberty. Liberty says that I can choose, and I have the right to make a choice. I don't have a right to make a choice that injures you or impacts upon you or causes you distress or takes something from you, but I have the right to make any comment. That is called free speech. I can disagree with your speech, and I even am within my rights to demonstrate against your speech. That also is free speech. But the interesting thing is the injustice that takes place in the name of intolerance. And that is what's key. And I want to show you in just a moment where that intolerance comes from. It is foundational, it is principled, and is being taught to our culture, and it is affecting us just as we're seeing in this event that took place with Chick-fil-A. But let me explain that to you in just a second.
So
but
I'm not here to diagram
if we say
out.
we are to
I think
be
it's about how we
intolerant,
act
that means that
with
I
people
have to
that maybe we
have
disagree with.
an
Back and
ability
say, let's put the pitchforks down. And this goes for
respect
people on the
your
right
opinion,
as well.
even if
Let's
your
pick up some coffee
opinion is
cups.
different than
And I'm
mine.
okay
In
with
fact,
messy.
I value, as Mr. Coleman said in the interview that we just played, I have the right and I should value the fact that you can make that contrary opinion and state it. but I don't have a right to do you harm or do you injury simply because you made a comment. And yet, as we just heard, listen to the anger in her voice as she goes after what he said, not what he did, not what he instituted, not injury that he performed, but what he simply said. Listen to the anger.
You don't think this is about what he said?
Hold on.
Now, here's where it gets steep. There is justice at play. Justice means that things are just, the quality of being just, meaning that something is consistent with what is morally right. It is properly due. It is law. It is valid within the law. It is suitable or proper, and it is honorable, and it is fair in the dealings of one person with another. So how is it fair? When I say something and you disagree, that I then take away your justice, I take away your right to justice by saying that you cannot disagree with me because I said it, you therefore have to accept it. But if we turn that, if we reverse that concept and you make a statement that I disagree with, you no longer have the right to make that statement. You are intolerant. And then we add all the other isms, the racism and the sexism and we just go label crazy and judgmentally crazy upon anyone who disagrees. I have the right to disagree. But now, here's where the merit lies. And I want to take you into that, but I want to take you into it. First, again, listen to the anger of the CNN reporter just over something said.
You don't think this is about what he said?
Hold on.
Let me add a little bit of fighting sound to it.
You don't think this is about what he said?
Hold on.
Now let's look at the foundational principle. I want to share with you 3 concepts, and they come from the manifesto, the Religious Humanist Manifesto. And I want to read these to you. This is number 6. We are convinced that the time has passed for theism, deism, modernism, and the several varieties of new thought. The time has passed. We don't want them. Number 9, in the place of old attitudes involved in worship and prayer, the humanist finds his religious emotions expressed in a heightened sense of personal life. From the 10th, there will be no uniquely religious emotions and attitudes of the kind hitherto associated with belief in the supernatural. There will be no uniquely religious emotion. I will not be tolerant. There will be none. Right? And finally, listen to this. This is from the 11th. Man will learn to face the crisis of life in terms of his knowledge of their naturalness and probability. The naturalness and probability of the crisis of life. Reasonable and manly attitudes will be fostered by education and supported by custom. Now the question becomes, whose custom and whose education? This philosophy, this mantra, this belief and construct of what our society is and our social world should be, and it is humanism, and it does not support or even allow the place of God. And so those of us in our culture who believe in a higher power are left out because humanism is saying man is the higher power. And there's a unique and decidedly interesting concept around that construct. Listen to the tenets, and you'll see where the anger of that CNN reporter comes from. It's deep-rooted, it's deep-seated, and it's being put to our culture on a daily basis by the humanist agenda that is rampant in our culture, in our education, in our entertainment, and the attitudes of people. And just like the person who wants the cocoa, who wants the chocolate, but doesn't understand how it's built or even know which beans build it, we have lost sight of the principles that are guarding our life, and government won't get it back, and we can only look to ourselves and to our God to get it back. You're listening to Klaipier on Radio. My name is Michael Klaipier, and I will be with you following these words. Stay with us.